journey. If you're starting your polymer clay journey and you're thinking about what work surfaces for you to work on, here are my 5 suggestions and we'll talk about the price and pros and cons of each. For context, my name is Everly. I've been doing polymer clay since April 2025 and I have made probably more than 400 sculptures to date. When I first started polymer clay, I was on a pretty tight budget. I didn't know if I wanted to fully commit to the craft, so I tried to keep everything as budget friendly as possible. So the very first thing that I did was go to the dollar store and buy one of these craft mats. I actually got it because it came with an X-Acto knife together, so I was like, cool, 2 for 1. The pros and cons of this is that it works fine, it's a good work surface. For me personally, it's just not very aesthetic, and this was somewhere around $2 to $3. The next surface that I got was actually a glass picture frame from the dollar store. I removed the frame and I took the glass and I actually, on my workspace, placed it on top of the mat because I did like the rulers on the mat, but I wanted to have like a clear surface. I did duct tape the sharp corners and then I used some blue putty to stick it to my desk. So a glass surface works really well when you're doing things like cutting out shapes or using cookie cutters because you want the clay to stick to this so that when you remove the excess clay, not everything is lifting up and ruining your designs. This also honestly worked great, but it still wasn't aesthetic enough for me because I started thinking about wanting to film my content and share it online, so I was still exploring different options. The price for the frame that you get is somewhere around $2 to $4 as well. It depends on the size. I usually work with the 8x10 surface. This was great for me. Next surface that I got to work with is this glass craft mat. This is when I started preferring working with glass and ceramics over the other materials that I was really working with because I found that it was just more durable for me and more sturdy. These full price at Michael's are $20. So this would be the most expensive option, but I actually got this secondhand for $10 as a package deal when I got my very first pasta roller. That's kind of why the reason that I got it. And I like that it's like a wide surface because on top of just sculpting the items, I was also putting like scrap clay and my other tools around, and I kind of wanted to be able to spread out a little bit. Finally, after this is when I moved on to ceramic tiles. So ceramic tiles is really popular for polymer clay artists that work with jewelry because you can work directly on the surface, like roll your clay out and then use a cookie cutter, remove the excess clay, and everything sticks perfectly and it helps keep your clay super flat and flush. And then you can put it into the oven just like this to whole entire tile. These you can get at Home Depot for less than $5. It really depends on the size and surface that you're working with. I believe something like this was maybe around $2 for me, but the caveat is it has to it has to be from a box where they're actually offering samples. So the size and the material that you're looking for doesn't always have options for samples. So depending on what you're looking for, it might be a hit or miss. For example, for me, I got this size so that I can put it straight into the oven, but I also wanted to get like a much bigger size, like something 11 to 12 inches so that I can just cover my whole desk with it. And I couldn't find those as a single piece. We actually ended up buying the whole box of tiles, but I host workshops and I have a lot of students, so they will be put to use. The pros of this is that it's amazing. I think it's beautiful. It looks fantastic in videos. I think it makes me really confident when I'm filming. The surface is durable. It's super easy to clean. And again, if you're making polymer clay jewelry, this is going to be extra convenient. The cons is, like I said, sometimes you can't always get the size that you want when you're at Home Depot. If you do decide to go with the tiles, make sure that it is ceramic and it is glossy. Now, for a super budget friendly option, if you're still considering whether you're actually going to stick with this hobby or not, or maybe you literally do not care about aesthetics at all, I have seen artists online use printer paper. It's really easy to cut their pieces. You can like put your clay right on it. I've never used it personally, but there are really successful artists, like huge 100,000 followers on Instagram, that still are using printer paper. The only con that I can think of is that it depends on the clay that you're working with and how long it takes you to finish a piece, because paper will leach your clay. Leaching is the process of drawing oils out of the clay, and that can make your clay a little bit more firm. Clays are super soft and there's actually some wiggle space. It doesn't really matter if the oils are pulled out, but you might prefer to work with firmer clays because they can hold more texture, and in that case you might dry them out a lot, especially if you are sculpting something that takes a few hours and it's quite small, like a phone charm or a magnet or something like that. That's the only con that I can see. Now, an honorable mention are these placemats from the dollar store. The price on the back is $1.25. I've never used it personally, but I did use it for one of my workshops, and I had two different surfaces, and actually majority of the students preferred to use this surface instead. It was much easier to roll out their clay and place things on here. It doesn't have a lot of texture, so it's not going to leave any imprinting in your clay. The only con that I can predict is because of the kind of plastic that it is. If you are slicing directly on the mat, you could end up leaving scratches, which later can end up leaving marks on your clay. But as an affordable option, that is also there. So I hope you found that helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. I also host workshops in Toronto. Keep out for the next date. Right now is February, and I will be announcing my March 2026 date. I'm thinking of hosting two workshops. One is the croissant clay workshop, and then the other one is the introduction to polymer clay. So if you're interested in joining that, you can leave a comment down below as well, or you can DM me, send me your email, and I'll keep you on the list. Bye!